Hello everybody watching on playback. My name is Super Koopa and welcome to the MFC. Today in this video, I am finishing my Animal Crossing only Smash rosters. In the last video, I'll take a look at what I've done already so far. So I've substituted every single Smash character in Smash 64 and Melee with Animal Crossing characters. And we're going to be going on to Brawl and into Smash 4 today to be picking new characters for all the characters in those games to be substitutions. Now, a couple rules, ground rules, I guess, if you will, to get started. Firstly, each character and each game needs to correspond with the game that was on each of the systems that Smash was released. So that's our first rule. So for example, our Smash 64 roster has to only be characters that are available in the Animal Crossing that debuted on the 64. Which, if you didn't know, there really wasn't an Animal Crossing except for the Japanese-only Debutsu no Mori, which was released to Japan on the N64 as Animal Forest, as we know it here in the English. But these characters that are in the Smash 64 roster are only characters and screenshots of characters that appeared in Debutsu no Mori, the Japanese-only game. When we go to Melee, however, this would include the GameCube version of Animal Crossing, Population Growing, as well as Debutsu no Mori E+, which introduced some characters and some features, including medicine, that were not available in the original Animal Crossing or in the GameCube version. So in the Smash Brawl roster, this is going to include every Animal Crossing character that appeared in all the series ahead of time, plus characters that appeared on Wild World and City Folk, and then so on. So for Smash 4, that'll be any character that may have debuted on New Leaf, or, and yes, I'm including this as well, Amiibo Festival. And then going on to Smash Ultimate, every single Animal Crossing game that has appeared up until now, essentially, will be included on that roster. So that is how the rules work. Basically, one character, and we try to keep the same essence as the characters were previously. So we definitely want the essence of the characters to feel like their initial counterparts. So when you're playing, say, Link, you want him to feel, his replacement character to feel a little bit like Link. And so, for example, I picked Copper because there's not really any other characters with swords, but Copper does have kind of like his staff, which we're turning into a spear for this game. So he'll still be like a handheld weapon welder. And I've actually gone through and created some cool detailed, like, just cool details. Let me just quickly switch to that so I can show you what I mean by that. So I'm going to switch to this really quick. Hold tight. All right, and I'm about to switch back. All right, now what you see here is kind of the players that I have already kind of given them some specific moves for. Let me just kind of do a little bit of adjusting here, but you're kind of getting the idea of what I mean already with this. So yeah, Villager. Each of them have a series, they have a type, a description, and then their special moves that I've included. So Villager's gonna play a lot like Mario. Mario's a zoner, he has his own series, and Mario also has a clone in Smash 64, which is Luigi. So I've given this character a clone character, which is the Villager female, which is the clone of Villager. So I hope that makes sense to you. Each character really just tries to copy the essence of the Smash character or its original character as well. I just want to show you, I finished this today. I just want to show you all of these just before we move on officially. So we got Villager male and female. We have Caesar, which is a grappler like Donkey Kong. We have Copper, which is a zoner like Link. We have Gulliver, which is also a zoner. He has his own moves. Then I have Rossetti, who is the replacement for Yoshi. Wendell, which is an all-rounder that replaces Kirby. Tom Nook is our Fox replacement. Static is our Pikachu replacement. Katrina is our Nest replacement. Chow is our clone character, which Jigglypuff was to Kirby, but we're actually making the clone in this version to be a clone of the Donkey Kong or the Caesar character, and that's Chow, who's a Caesar clone. And then finally, our most special character, KK Slider, who is our Captain Falcon clone. Captain Falcon is a fan favorite, made more popular because of Smash, and I feel like KK Slider is always a fan favorite, so I needed to include him in this capacity that way. This is a little sneak peek of what's to come, guys. So we're going to be coming back to this list very shortly. So we're going to make a little transition time now. And we're going to check our live stream, and then we're going to jump back into our roster here. And we're going to officially fill in all the rest of the spots in the next hour or less. So I'm excited that you're here. If you are currently watching or watching on the replay too, that's amazing as well. I'm glad you found the channel. We're going to be releasing a full video of this, kind of talking through how I went about doing this and go a little bit more detail in a more fun format. And if you haven't checked out my last Smash video, now is a great opportunity I'll put the card up on the screen potentially, but yeah, I'm very excited to have made that last video. And today I just met up with my sister and we actually did our own version of her Smash Manifesto roster as well. So really cool thing, real cool exercise to do. All right, here we go. Smash Brawl. I won't be filling in the pictures, but I will be filling in the characters here. So let me just pull up my reference here on my phone. All right, here we go. So, first character is, on our list at least, Ike. Now, all of the Fire Emblem characters have been replaced by very similar characters. So Marth is Blathers here. So Ike kind of has to play very similar to a Fire Emblem character would. So I've made Nat the representative. Nat is the, I presume he's the father of Flick in the newer Animal Crossing games, but he is a lizard and he comes to do the bug off events. So Ike's replacement will be Nat. Toon Link is our next one. Toon Link was an unlockable character, and we are going to make Toon Link. Originally, it was meant to be Porter, but Porter I actually made to debut earlier than I initially anticipated because he was really popular back in the GameCube, but then lost some popularity in the Wild World and the City Folk days because he didn't really appear at all that I recall. But in this version, somebody else was made more important. He was the Guardian of the Gates, and this character is Booker. Booker is going to be more of a very similar playstyle to Copper, and it makes sense. Toon Link is a clone of Link, and so we're making his Link in Brawl a clone of Copper, which is Booker. All right, Lucario. Now, Lucario was a special character because he had a mechanic that nobody else had at the time. It's the more damage that he took, the more that he would be powered up. And we're going to kind of adapt this into this next character. This character was made very popular in this era and is still popular to this day, but Brewster is going to be their Lucario clone, an unlockable character. And Brewster is going to have a heat mechanic. So as the more that he attacks, his coffee meter will increase in temperature and the damage will continue to go up. He can actually release this coffee as well as steam, and he will have some moveset potential with his gyroids that he loves so much as well. So Lucario's replacement is Brewster. Next is Meta Knight. Now Meta Knight was a character that was already available, and there's not a lot of knight characters in Animal Crossing, but a villager who has a knightly appearance is Sterling. And I'd like Sterling to be able to use a lance to attack and strike opponents, reflect projectiles, and he will have a jousting final smash. Now, how about Wario? Who's our Wario replacement? Well, you'd be surprised because, you know, this character is definitely a little bit opposite as Wario, but definitely still full of themselves. But Wario's replacement is Gracie, or Gracie Grace, depending on how you know her. So we're just going to put Gracie. Now, Gracie, I picked her over Wario because Gracie has a car, and Wario at the time was the only character that had a vehicle that you could, use as part of his moveset. So I'd like to incorporate Gracie's car. Gracie was a character that was a special NPC character since the GameCube days. However, she became a lot more popular and a more well-liked character when you went to the city in City Folk and she opened up a shop there called Gracie Grace. That was a very high-end furniture and clothing store. So a vain character like Wario, and I thought that it'd be cool that if Wario, since he has two different costumes and has the most costume changes in the game, that Gracie would have two different versions of herself, maybe one named Gracie, the other Gracie Grace, or something along the lines of that, where she can have the most costumes in the game. So I thought that was a little nod to her being a fashion designer as well. Wolf is the next character, and all the Fire Emblem, Star Fox characters have a very similar vein. There's only 3 of them that have ever appeared in Smash before, and there's only a few of these characters in the game as well. So I've made all the Star Fox characters references to Tom Nook, Red, and in this version, Lyle. Now, Lyle is a greedy, well, I don't know if he's necessarily greedy, but he is quite shisty on Wild World. He is a tax collector, if you will, trying to get you to buy insurance, and he hangs around your house, and he's just really annoying. So I thought, since Wolf is a villain, let's include Wolf as Wolf's character to be Lyle, since he's a little shisty as well and became more popular during this time. Now, Diddy Kong. This one's going to be quite interesting. Let's find our Diddy Kong character. So Diddy Kong is Margie. Now, the reason that I chose Margie for Diddy Kong was because I like some of Diddy Kong's moves, or what his moves could be. He has this kind of like jumping move that like you can cling on to characters in Brawl, and so I'd like Margie to be a character who gives hugs to people. Not deathly hugs, but kinda. She kind of like uses her hugs to kind of grapple onto characters, and her character in the Animal Crossing movie is very friendly and stuff, so I want that to come across in her Smash characteristics. She also would use a party popper, which is a close range item, and fireworks, which would be long range items. So like Diddy Kong has his pop gun that when hit at close range, it can deal a lot of damage, and you can also explode. He also has his pop gun that can shoot long range, and his barrel gun Final Smash can be replaced by the fireworks. And this is highly based off of the Animal Crossing movie that was only released in Japan. Margie was a very important character in that, and so I've included references in that, and I feel like if they made it an Animal Crossing game that was a Smash game at this time, that Margie would be a highly requested and likely playable character. All right, now we're going on to the Pokemon Trainer. Now, I'm very proud of this character here. Now, the Pokemon Trainer is 3 characters in one. And I was thinking, is there anybody that's 3 in... Wait a second. The Postal Trio. So each of these have their own unique kind of power to them. The Charizard character will actually not be the main character of the bunch. It will actually be Phyllis. Now, the 3 Pelican Postal Trio is Phyllis, Pete, and Pelly. And so Pelly will actually be the weakest but fastest. Phyllis will be the strongest and the most angry of them all. And Pete will be kind of a middle ground, like all around version, like kind of like Ivysaur is in the bunch. He's going to be average speed, average pretty much everything, but he will have some fun attacks as well. So the Postal Trio is the Pokemon trainer replacement, and I think this would be so cool, being able to switch through the three and use their different powers, whether it's Helly's speed or Phyllis's powerful attacks or Pete's all around and projectile moves. I think that'd be a really, really fun concept as a replacement for Pokemon trainer. I'm very proud of that one, and I think that you would like that one too. All right, next character is Olimar, and his replacement is going to be Dr. Shrunk. Dr. Shrunk became a very popular character in the DS and the City Folk era. He even had his own theater in the city. And so Dr. Shrunk is coming back. He's using emotion-based moves to barrage opponents with stand-up comedy or switch to negative emotions to power up attacks. He can even summon Frillard to fight alongside of him in his final smash. And something really cool, looking ahead to his character in Smash Ultimate, that Dr. Shrunk will actually have an alternate costume similar to how Olimar has Alf as his secondary costume. That Frillard will actually be a playable character there as well. So I thought that was a super cool way that this character specifically would translate into a future game. So I've been thinking ahead to future games as well. So Olimar's replacement, Dr. Shrunk, and then in Ultimate, Alf's replacement will later be Frillard, to call back to Frillard appearing every once in a while instead of Dr. Shrunk in the marquee in the city and City Folk. Okay, pretty self-explanatory. King DDD. Alfonso. Now, Alfonso is a speedy character, and his character, since he is an alligator, he is also wearing a Mario shirt. So I figured that he also is pretty iconic when it comes to Animal Crossing. He was in the GameCube days, but is even more iconic because he is in the movie as well. So another movie reference here. In the movie, he was into collecting bugs and fossils. And so that'll be a major part of his moveset, that he'll send dangerous bugs and fossils out to do his bidding, similar to how King DDD and Brawl sent out his Waddle Dee, Gordo, and Waddle Doo minions in order to attack for him at times. So that'll be Alfonso, DDD's replacement. Now, Pit is a character with the power of flight. So I was thinking, what kind of bird character might go well with him? Well, I thought Pave or Pave or whatever. I think Pave is the correct way that you say it. I used to call it Pave when I was a kid, but Pave is the peacock character that appears during Festival, which became more popular in the City Folk game because Wild World did not have any real world holidays. Not that this is necessarily a real world holiday, but it does kind of reflect Mardi Gras more than anything because it's around the same time. But Pit's replacement is Pave. This mechanic that I've given to Pave is not quite similar to Pit, but you can collect feathers as you play this character more. They will drop randomly, and then if you pick them up, similar to how you would pick up like the Dragoon parts and create like more of a full thing that you could use as a bigger weapon, that if Pave collects feathers, they will power up his attacks or greater range. And his final smash is the Rainbow Feather. And that, since the Rainbow Feather is the rarest feather that you can get, and the feathers that he loves so much. So Pit's replacement is Pave. And then Lucas, since Lucas is also a kind of like a psychic character, his counterpart, Ness, which is Katrina. There's not quite any other characters quite like Katrina, but there is some mystical, kind of mythic, ethereal characters that were especially available in Wild World, and that was Celeste. In later games, she is definitely like attributed to like star signs and like readings and like, you know, all of that sort of mystical stuff. I don't follow any of that stuff, so forgive me. But like horoscope things, like she is the Star Girl. And so I thought that the perfect replacement for Lucas in a similar vein would be Celeste. Now Celeste Let me pull up the description of Celeste. Celeste can use the power of the stars to project astral versions of herself, and she will have a shooting star final smash. Now, how perfectly does that fit into Lucas with his PK Starstorm final smash? I think that would be so perfect to be over Lucas. So Celeste is Lucas's replacement. And finally, 3 more characters. Now, this one is going to be really fun. Rob is an unlockable character, and Lloyd, the gyroid, is going to be his replacement. Lloyd is sort of a robotic character. He is a mysterious, I think it's a Haniwa statue that talks to you and comes to life. He was pretty popular back in the GameCube. It's actually how you would save your game and everything. I actually spelled that way wrong, but there we go. And then in City Folk, he was the guy who you would go to the I'm trying to remember what it's called, like where you would bid on items. It was the auction house. So he would go and auction off your items that you would bring to the auction house. But he had some more significant roles and would continue to have significant roles later on in the games in New Leaf, New Horizons, all that. So Lloyd would be a playable character. He can launch himself as a rocket up, as an up like smash, an up special, or side to side, similar to Villager's side special in Smash Bros. He can also bury people in holes and hop around. His final smash is a spinning top, where he will spin around like how Rob has a spinning top as well, and he will spin around, and maybe he can even turn people into gyroid face or something crazy like that in the end. That'd be really funny. All right, Porter is one that we already did. Sonic. Now, Sonic is a very special character. He's one of the first third-party characters ever announced, and so we need to give him a very special replacement. And Sonic's special replacement is Cap'n. Now, Cap'n was in the game from the very beginning. He was a very beloved character, and he could even take you to the island if you had a GBA link cable. And so I think that's warrants a very special character. And so Cap'n will be Sonic's replacement. Cap'n will have water-based attacks. He will have a coconut tree similar to how Villager has a tree as well. And he will have a song-based attack. And his boat will be a part of his final smash. Finally, our last character is Snake, another special character that only appears at certain times. Tortimer. Now, Tortimer, I didn't feel good about putting him in the game necessarily. He's a very old guy. We don't want him getting hurt. So I thought maybe he could be a part of the game in some other way. So we'd like to have him maybe be the announcer or something like that, where he's involved in the game. But he's actually technically in the game. You just don't know he is because his alter ego, Cornimer, who he claims is not himself whatsoever. He only comes out during the Acorn Festival in Wild World, and I believe he does come out in City Folk at some point, but he was definitely more prominent in Wild World at the time. But Cornimer is your second very special unlockable character. He is a slow-moving, tanky character with an acorn projectile, a sports day pop gun, and his final smash is the mayoral vote, where he will vote himself in to stay in the round and not the other character, and he will allow that person to be unelected, which basically means that they are losing a stock, if you know what I mean. So that is your Smash Brawl roster with all Animal Crossing characters. As a recap, we have Ike, that his replacement is Nat from the Bug Off, very popular in these games. We have Booker over Toon Link, Brewster over Lucario with his heat mechanic, similar to Lucario's aura mechanic. We have our sword counterpart, Sterling over Meta Knight. We have our fashionista with the most costumes in the game, Gracie over Wario, including her car, which is very similar to Wario's bike move. We have Lyle, the insurance seller over Wolf, who both are shiesty characters. We have the huggable and huggingable Margie over Diddy Kong with her pop gun kind of equivalent, with her party popper and her fireworks long range and final smash. And then we have our trio character over Pokemon Trainer, the Pelican Trio, Phyllis, Pete, and Pelly, with Phyllis being the strongest and Pelly being the quickest. And then we have our Olimar and down the line Alf replacement, Dr. Shrunk with Frillard. We have our King DDD replacement with minions, with Alfonso and his mean bug minions and fossils. We have our Power of Flight character, Pave, who collects feathers to power up his moves. We have our Lucas equivalent, which is similar to our Katrina. It's Celeste with the Shooting Star Final Smash, which is very similar to the PK Starstorm Final Smash. Great matchup there. And then finally, our last three, Rob is our most robotic character in Animal Crossing, Gyroid Lloyd. And then our two really special characters, Cap'n, who could only really come and take you to the island through a GBA link cable. And then Cornimer, who only appears during one festival per year and is very secretive about his identity over Snake. Well, that is our Brawl roster. And now we're about to move on to our Smash 4 roster. And what we're going to need to do here is we're going to need to fill in a couple spaces here. Oh, and it looks like maybe a couple things are wrong here. Did I potentially make some changes that I didn't realize? So I have pretty much everything right, but it looks like Jingle made its way on here. Where was that? Yeah, DDD is Jingle. I don't know why that is wrong, but we may need to change that. Let's put Jingle in there for now, and then we'll see maybe where that mistake happened down the line. I think I might have had to later on, I think, move that character down. All right, we're gonna give ourselves a minute to check the live stream, see if anybody is currently watching, answer any comments we might have. Oh, we got a like. Thank you so much to the one viewer who tuned in. I appreciate you. I want to make sure that I am not missing any comments currently. Perfect. All right, let's continue on with more about our roster. So, a few changes that I'm seeing here, things that I didn't maybe mention here, is that Samus, in Zero Suit Samus, there's actually a bit of a change here. So, Zero Suit Samus is actually the space version of Gulliver, while Samus in Brawl, like the whole transition thing, is just the normal pirate Gulliver that appeared in the games before that. So later in Smash 4, you can see here Samus is just Gulliver, but Zero Suit Samus, since they were split into two characters, is Spacesuit Gulliver. So Space Gulliver and Gulliver are two separate characters. In Brawl, they transition into one another, while Zero Suit did not. Same thing with Sheik and Zelda, Mabel and Sable, two separate characters here in Smash 4. However, they would transition one to another in Melee and Brawl. So Mabel and Sable would, you know, transition to one another in those games, but became separate characters in Smash 4. Does that make sense? Okay. Anyway, it looks like Bowser is actually Alfonso. So that's where I accidentally had Alfonso here. So I was right. Okay. So I just want to take something back really quick. Jingle is over DDD. Originally, my idea was to have it as Alfonso, but I needed a better replacement for Bowser. So now Alfonso is Bowser and DDD is now Jingle. And Jingle was actually really popular in the City Folk days, so I wanted to include him there as well. So I think the similarity between DDD and Jingle is Jingle can actually trap people in his bag, similar to how King DDD could like swallow enemies or items and stuff like that, and he'll have like a whole like similar to like the pocket, he'll be able to bag items and reuse them later on. Okay, I think that's pretty much it. We have some characters that came back in Smash 4, like Roy. So we have Blathers, Chip, and Nat now. So all three of the Fire Emblem reps are here. And Blathers and Chip and Nat, they're all interested in bugs or fish respectively, and Blather's fossils, so they'll all reflect their similar interests. And later down the line, we'll have some more Fire Emblem characters that we'll add in, including Lucina right here. All right, let's go through our next characters, starting with Villager. Now, this Smash 4 roster has to do with the 3DS era, and Villager was the very first character that was ever released as a trailer for Smash 4. So I thought it'd be only fitting that Villager's counterpart would be Isabelle. So Isabelle is your Villager counterpart. And I don't know why I did this, because Villager only has one version in their game. So Villager 1 and 2, male and female, all are Isabelle. So basically Smash Ultimate's version of Isabelle is just being moved up to where Villager was for Smash 4. Does that make sense? I hope so. Anyway, so our first revealed character is Isabelle over Villager. She'll work very similarly to how she did, although we're going to make her less of a Villager clone and give her some of her own very unique moves for herself. So she'll be able to erect public work projects, ride on her moped that she had in Mario Kart 8, and she will be able to cancel attacks or establish dominance. So she will be a very dominant character as she replaces the mayor when they are away. Our next character that we're going to do is Rosalina and Luma, or Rosaluma. And this is sort of like a puppet master character. And I thought, what's in a bigger character with a smaller character companion? There's only a couple of them in Animal Crossing, but Caitlin and Katie are the characters that I picked for the Rosaluma. So Rosalina is like a mother character, and there is a mother character. Her name is Caitlin, and she would lose her kitten constantly, whose name is Katie. And in City Folk and Wild World, you had to reunite them by going to your friend's town who had the other one, and you would have to link up together. So I thought it'd be super fun to have her be the puppet character, where she's sending out her daughter to kind of do her bidding, and it'd be a really cool puppet character dynamic. So Caitlin smacks opponents with the spatula, while Katie throws tantrums. Her final smash will be the checkpoint door slam. So those checkpoints are like the gates that lead you into, your friend's town or going into another town. And so her final smash will be her basically them shutting the door on you and locking you out. Not reuniting you, but doing the exact opposite, taking you out of a stock. So I thought it'd be really funny. Even Rosalina has her wand, and the counterpart of Caitlin, she can have her spatula. I don't know why they gave Caitlin a spatula, but that could be her wand equivalent as well. And just Caitlin just crying and throwing tantrums would be absolutely hilarious. All right, our next character is going to be our Bowser Jr. replacement. And I chose Layla as the Bowser Jr. replacement. So Layla is a little girl character in Cappen's family. She's the one that you go to play the I believe she does the mini games. Maybe that's Leilani, but she had a smaller role. But I thought it'd be cool to give her similar to how Bowser Jr. is a little whiny kid, to give Layla a time in the spotlight, since her dad Cappen is already in the game. She can kind of be protected in her I don't know, maybe she drives a little remote control boat instead of Bowser Jr.'s clown car. So here's a couple ideas that I had for Layla. She uses squeaky hammers and other fun tools, similar to how Bowser Jr. uses some of his tools from the mini games. She will also play hide and seek as a counter, and she drives a little boat for a side special. Her final smash could be the Island Fruit final smash, and I don't know exactly how I thought that would work, but either way, Layla would be a fun, cutesy little joke character in the game. All right, Greninja. Greninja was one of my favorite characters in Smash. Loved his reveal. And Greninja, of course, is a ninja. And another villager that's ninja-like is Snake. Now, you probably think it's kind of funny that Snake's counterpart wasn't Solid Snake from Smash Brawl. But I thought this would just be a cool callback more to the ninja complex rather than, you know, just doing a namesake for the sake of the name, you know? So Greninja is a very nimble character, and Snake will be no exception. He'll use like his ninja moves similar to how Chao works. So he's kind of like almost like a clone to Chao, who was a clone of, you know, another character, Caesar. In I'll scroll up so you can see how that all works out. So as you can see back in the Smash 64 roster equivalent, Chao is on the bottom right there. He is a clone of Caesar, but Chao is more of like a ninja version or like a sumo wrestler version, where Caesar's more of like a Donkey Kong, like heavy hitter character as well. All right, we made that clear. But yeah, Snake is like your ninja character, so I've created the bunny villager Snake to be the Greninja equivalent. What about Lucina? And Lucina. So Lucina is unlockable. Her counterpart is Lottie. And Lottie, this is the first Fire Emblem character that is not, you know, bug related. Lottie was a very special character. In Happy Home Designer, she became a lot more popular back in Happy Home Paradise, I believe. But back in the game Happy Home Designer on the 3DS, she was a pretty significant character. She's actually going to be a clone, just how Lucina is a clone of Marth. She's actually going to be a clone of Lyle, who we introduced in the last game over Wolf. So Lucina is Lottie, and Lottie will be able to heal damage with coffee. She will have less hits on others, means more damage done. So for Lyle, the more hits that he has on others, the less damage he'll do because he's insurance. So the more that you hit people, the less his damage is going to do because he has insurance. Similar to how the more you get hurt in real life, the more your insurance covers. But Lottie works in the exact opposite way, where the more hits that you have means the more damage that she will do. And her final smash is the Happy Home Perfect Match final smash. All right, let's move on to Alf. We already said that his counterpart is going to be Frillard. So let's fill in that blank. We explained how, because Frillard often fills in every once in a while for Dr. Shrunk in the Marquee, that's why I put him over Olimar, so that when Alf was introduced, that he could have a very similar character that would be a throwback to the whole Marquee days. And enough said. Robin is a character that is split between a male and female kind of main protagonist, main customizable avatar. And they use their tomes for magical attacks. So I was thinking, what other character could maybe use crafting recipes? At this time, crafting wasn't even a thing. Or use some sort of long-range attacks with projectiles or traps or something like that. And I've actually made Reese and Cyrus to be the replacement for Robin. I think that's how you spell it. It might be C. Don't quote me on that. Let's just do that for now. So Cyrus and Reese became very popular in this era. They are the owners of retail, and then later went on to have a role in I don't even know what it's called because it's honestly very much less important, but they were very important characters back in those days. So Reese and Cyrus, the male and female, and they basically play the same way, but they use pattern books and a hammer to build traps, projectiles, and items that you can use as structures. Repair made items with your neutral special, and their retail spotlight item is their final smash. So basically you can create like things on the stage similar to how like Steve can like put projectiles like of his block like on the stage, but as it starts to take damage, you can actually walk up to it and repair it. Similar to like in Fortnite, how like when you take damage to like one of your walls that you've repaired, you can actually go up to it and repair it so that it's like full HP again. So that's how I thought that they could play as a replacement over Robin. They'll be a semi-light character and use projectiles as part of their skill set. All right, Corrin. Corrin's replacement is Sahara. Sahara's been in the game for a long time and never really got a spot because basically Sahara's not the most interesting character. But I think we could create this character to somebody who's a little bit more interesting. I thought Sahara could play like using traps, like rugs on the ground to trip opponents or plaster them with wallpaper traps. You can also, in one of their special moves, create static shocks or roll up rugs or whip them out quickly for ranged attacks. And their final smash would be the exotic makeover final smash. So Sahara would use rugs as part of their whole moveset, and they could roll opponents in the rugs. They can whip out the rugs similar to how Corrin has this very spiky long range attack, and kind of use some of those. So it's not a perfect one-to-one match, but I thought it'd be a cool character to include regardless. Palutena is a very goddess-like character, and there was a character that only appeared, I believe, in one game who is very goddess-like, and that's... see, where's my list? I already know who it is, but that is Serena. Now, Serena is the guardian of the wishing well that would appear in City Folk. And if you, I believe, threw money in or something like that, she would appear and you could throw your axe into the well and have it turned into a golden axe. So she uses the divine powers of water and light, and her final smash is the golden light final smash. And I'm sure that having the axe as part of her moveset will be a part of what she does as well. So she will use the power of water and light, similar to how Palutena is the goddess of light. All right. Pretty cool matchup there. Dark Pit. Now, there's not really a dark version of Pave out there, is there? But we can come up with something that's pretty similar. And a similar counterpart to the character is Franklin. Now, Franklin will be somewhat of a Pave clone. Instead of collecting feathers, Franklin is, also a bird-like character. Oop, I changed the wrong thing again. And he will actually be collecting food, similar to how you would collect food and bring it to him for his Turkey Day event or his Harvest Festival event in some of the games as well. And he will be the counterpart to the Pit character. He will collect food, power up his moves, and his Perfect Stew final smash will be his final smash. Think of Kirby's final smash in Brawl, how he used to have like the pot that he would suck everybody into, then explode them. That would kind of be like how Franklin's final smash would work. All right, moving on to our next character. We skipped this, so this is just nobody. Little Mac. So Little Mac is a scrappy kind of on the ground fighter, and I picked Rooney to be his replacement. So little Rooney, we'll call him Little Rooney for now. Rooney was a villager. He's actually a kangaroo. We have not had any kangaroos in there, and I figured kangaroos are known for punching humans, as you've seen in some of those crazy videos out there. So I gave Rooney the Little Mac treatment. Now, Rooney will actually have really good recoveries because Rooney is a kangaroo and kangaroos can jump really high. So it will be fixing the whole Little Mac problem. And it will have hard to connect charge punches as part of their move. So it's almost like a Falcon Punch kind of deal with Rooney. And then the Boxing Ring final smash that will bring in the Boxing Ring corner item kind of completed. You know how sometimes like you can put up the wallpaper of the boxing ring and you have the audience there, and then you could make it in your room. I think that Rooney's Final Smash could be in Rooney's room with a boxing ring item, like all 4 corners, and then have the boxing ring wallpaper, and then like punch them kind of like a King DDD, like on the ropes sort of Final Smash for Rooney. Very fun there. All right. Shulk. Now this Shulk had a very cool Monado ability where he could change his moves depending on what Monado power that he had activated. And the character that I made to replace Shulk is Phineas. Now Phineas was made popular in City Folk, but came back in New Leaf as the badge guy. And so I would like to, it's similar to how Shulk uses his Monado, I'd like Phineas to have a badge system that Phineas uses to buff his moves or to buff his speed or power or jump or whatever it might be. So he'll use a badge system to choose his badges to reward to himself. Different badges bring different functions, and he will have a balloon recovery, and his final smash will be a giant hot air balloon that he will fly in. This will be a reference to how he was the balloon guy back in City Folk, but now he's the badge guy in New Leaf. I would really love to play as Phineas. He was such a cool little character there as well. Duck Hunt Duo. This one is going to be such a cool matchup. Let me pull them up. Maybe I didn't write this one. Oh, yeah. Here it is. Harvey and his birds. So because Harvey is a dog, right? And he loves birds, literally perfect match, 1-to-1 matchup of the Duck Hunt Duo. Harvey and his birds. Basically, you have to protect your birds at all cost. So you can set out bird feeders for birds to flock. Harvey's actually going to work very similar to how Olimar works, where he has to hold on to his birds and protect them at all costs, similar to how Olimar's moves are nothing without his Pikmin. He can call more birds to gain more damage, and he'll have his RV as part of his final smash. I think this is a perfect rendition of just a really cool character that I'd love to even see in Smash in general. Have another kind of Olimar-like character in the game. Harvey and his birds over Duck Hunt. That one I'm very excited at the potential to ever see a moveset for. Okay, fun one there. All right, the blue blur. That's Sonic. The blue bomber, however, is Mega Man, and his replacement is going to be Zucker. Now, back around the New Leaf era, Zucker and other octopus characters were gaining a lot of popularity. And Zucker could work by shooting water bubbles out of his like sucker mouth thing, whatever you want to call that. And he could use deep sea creatures and electric jellyfish as his attack. So something that New Leaf added was deep sea creatures. So he can use some of those as part of his moveset and incorporate them into this new Smash, since it's a brand new thing. So I thought representing deep sea creatures in a moveset, since it's such a new thing, was a must. Now this one is crazy. You're gonna maybe cringe, you're gonna laugh, but Pac-Man's replacement is a snow person. I know, you can laugh now, but what other round characters are there in the game that can roll around like a snowball? And it literally has, like, if you call him the snowman, it literally has the word snowman, Pac-Man. It's very similar. And the gimmick of the snow person would be the more that you roll on the ground, you will continue to gain size. So you will actually, the more that you stay on the ground and be less airborne, the more that you will gain in size, the more strong you will be. You can even press special to swap out control of a smaller snowball. So you can switch your snowball parts and create a crazy amalgamation snowmen fighters. So basically, like, you start with one snowball and one mini snowball, and over time, the more that you roll, you gain that bigger snowball. And then you can swap out with your special move and start rolling the smaller snowball into a size that you want to. Then when you hit it again, you create like whatever comes up. So like you can have, similar to how the snow people, you can make them wrong. You have a giant head but a little body. So the more that you create and roll on the ground, you can create a snowman of a big head, small body, small head, big body. And each of those creations have different buffs or nerfs depending on how you make them. Finally, if you make a perfect size snowman while rolling around, you will actually be like a more like the strongest potential perfect version of the snow person. You can also spawn other snowmen on the stage to help like fight with you, and then their final smash will be a blizzard. So this will be similar to the ice climbers, but work in a completely different new mechanic that requires you to have perfection when it comes to creating this fighter while you are fighting. So you can throw snowballs at them, you can roll around similar to how Jigglypuff rolls around. This would be an awesome concept for a character, and I think that you would find it pretty exciting as well. All right, so this is interesting because I had Jingle over Ryu, so I'm still not sure exactly what we ended up picking for that in the end, so I'm gonna have to circle back to that. But Cloud is our next character, and I picked Hamlet to go over Cloud. Now, Hamlet was a very popular hamster-like character in New Leaf, and I thought it'd be cool to kind of like almost like a monkey ball sort of situation, like an eye like sort of character. I did away completely with the Cloud, and I just fully focused on Hamlet. Who could Hamlet be as a character? And Hamlet would be a ground fighter that rolls in his hamster ball for a side special, and he can have a playground spin final smash because he's seen on the cover art of New Leaf with his spinning playground item. So I thought that would be cool to incorporate Hamlet. And then since Cloud has a couple different costumes, maybe we can incorporate some of the other hamster characters in those different alternate costumes as well. And I think now might be a really good time to mention the fact that each of these characters, even though they're represented like villager-wise by a certain villager, like Hamlet or Rooney, for example, that there will actually be palette swaps that perfectly encapsulate the colorations of the other animals of their type. So I tried to include almost one of every single animal in all of Animal Crossing. So, for example, Rosie appeared over Peach. Her character is a cat, and her alternate costumes will be other cats in the game. I thought that'd be pretty cool to incorporate, you know, other animals in there too. Even though they may not have a roster slot, they will be represented in some way in the game as well. Okay, we'll come back to Ryu eventually. Bayonetta. Bayonetta is a very feminine character. She's very dark at times, but she has some really cool and timing attacks and stuff like that. And I picked LaBelle or Label, depending on, you know, where she's at. But LaBelle is the Bayonetta replacement. LaBelle can have close range quill attacks and use accessories and luggage for long range attacks. Her family first final smash would be similar to... Actually, I don't know exactly how that might look, but I think that could be something that you can imagine if you so would like to imagine that. All right, we're almost done with the Smash 4 roster here, but I hope you guys are enjoying it and liking it. And we're going to look at Wii Fit Trainer next. Her replacement is Luna. Now, Luna is the Dream Suite character that was introduced in New Leaf. This is how you connected to other sort of snapshots of different people's towns. And because the Wii Fit Trainer primarily focuses on breathing exercises for one of their moves, I thought it would be perfect fit for Luna here. You can focus on your breathing to power up moves, stop time, or even put people to sleep. And her Dream Suite will be featured in her final smash. And finally, the Mii costumes. Now, I acknowledge that there are 3 different types: Mii Brawler, Mii, you know, Sword Fighter, me Gunner. I've actually given them 3 exclusive ideas that worked really well for this era, the 3DS Wii U era. Amiibos were very popular at the time and being pushed by Nintendo. So our first over me it doesn't matter which one it is, it's going to be Wisp. Now, as a spirit, you can recharge in your lamp or split your essence into 5 pieces. Activating the final smash that eliminates the opponent will transform you into the essence of one of your opponents as you stole their soul. So Wisp will be the main Mii fighter that's replaced in the game. So I'm thinking maybe we put Wisp over Ryu, but we're going to just keep it here right now over Mii A, and that's going to be Wisp. I'm excited to see Wisp in the game. So basically, in New Horizons, Wisp, different parts, you had to kind of like search for them and find his different like soul essences or whatever. So I thought we could introduce that into the game. Wisp's lamp was very big as far as scanning different amiibo like villagers into the game. So I figured, yeah, that works for this. The second one would be Blanca. Now, Mii fighters were very customizable in this time, and I thought since Blanca is a customizable face character that would appear in past games, why don't we have a fighter where you can draw on their face and then play as them? I thought that'd be really cool. And then finally, the last one is the Amiibo Villager. Spell. Now, this is a very unique idea, so hear me out. This will work very similar to how you can create a Mii and customize it. But here's the catch. You can scan a villager amiibo that you would own at the time to unlock different animal types that you can customize and fight on as you want to on the battlefield. So say you have a Rosie minifigure, or Rosie amiibo, or you have a Rover amiibo, you'd be able to unlock a cat skin. And then once you have that villager card or amiibo and you scan them in, now you're able to customize a cat with colors, facial features, things, and then fight as them in the game. So maybe your favorite character didn't get in the game. Maybe they're a penguin. We don't have any penguins yet in the roster. But if you have a penguin amiibo card, you can scan that in and customize your amiibo villager to look like one of maybe Cube or Puck or one of your other penguin villagers like Gwen. Or you can create a completely new customizable villager to fight as however you want. So I thought that'd be a really cool replacement for the Mii character. All right, so we're gonna have to make a small change here. Obviously, this roster slot isn't filled, and I don't believe we came up with a character for Ryu yet. So I'm gonna look through my notes here, and then we're gonna reconvene and kind of figure out what the best course of action is here. All right, we're gonna fade. And now I'm going to bring up my final roster. We're gonna have to make some adjustments to it, but we'll be right back for that. All right, I think we've resolved the issue now. It's not going to be perfect, but it'll be a way that we can get at least one more villager type into the game. Let me kind of show you in just a moment where we're going with this. All right, here we go. All right, guys, here is the long-awaited final Smash Ultimate Animal Crossing roster. Here's those little descriptions that I added the other day, and I showed you a little bit earlier. But we're going to start just filling in roster spots now all together. So most of these have already been filled in, so we're just going to just go back and fill them in with their replacements. Let's see, so Meta Knight was Sterling. King DDD we said was Jingle. So that is a change that we made. Boom. Alright, Pit is Pave. Zero Suit Samus is Space Suit Gulliver. Spacesuit Gulliver. Okay. Pokemon Trainer is Postal Trio. Wario is Gracie. Let's see. Ike was Nat. Snake was Cornimer. Diddy Kong is Margie. Lucas is Celeste. Sonic is Cap'n. Olimar and Alf is Hello Cat. Dr. Trunk and Rillard. Lucario is Brewster. Rob is Lloyd. Toon Link was our Link clone, and that is Lyle. Wolf is our... Oh, no, wait. That's Lyle. Oh, Booker is Toon Link. Villager is Isabel, bumped up a whole game later. Mega Man is Zucker with his bubble ability, similar to Mega Man's pellet ability. We have a trainer is Luna, because they have breathing similarities. Caitlyn and Katie for Rosaluma. Little Mac is Rooney, the kangaroo. Greninja is Snake. Palutena, the goddess character, is going to be... What did we say she was? I believe it's Serena, right? Yes. Serena. Pac-Man is Snow Person. Let's just say Snowman. Snowman. Just for the sake of the... Let's see. Robins. Cyrus. Reese. Cyrus/Reese. Let's do it that way. Shulk is Phineas. Finofurb. Layla. Duck Hunt is Harvey and Birds. Okay, this is the change that we've made. So originally Ken, his Echo Fighter, was supposed to be Kix from City Folk. I've just moved Ryu's character to Kix now. And we're gonna add down here, we're gonna add a villager. To add one more villager into the game, since I'm out of NPC characters at this point. Alright. Cloud. Who did we pick? Oh, it was Hamlet. Corin is Sahara. Bayonetta is LaBelle. Specifically LaBelle, because she was more sassy then. Okay, this is where we're starting to get into some of the other territory. Smash Ultimate territory. You guys ready for this? So we're gonna finish up our final bit of our roster here. I'm so excited to finish this off with you guys. Thanks for those who have tuned in. I appreciate, you know, you just coming in and watching the video for a couple seconds, or just watching for the whole thing on playback. Means a lot to me. Thank you for your support. Let's see how we look on here. All right, top right corner. Here we go. Inkling. Pull up Smash Ultimate. This one's fun. All right. Harriet. Harriet, what is the Shampoodle character? The poodle who runs Shampoodle. And I thought it'd be cool, since Inkling kind of fights with ink, that she can fight with like different hair dyes, dyeing people different colors, and attacking with scissors, or grabbing with her bonnet dryer, that like thing that comes down and turns your head into a me head or changes the color of your hair. Thought that would be a really fun grab for her. And then her final smash could be just this crazy makeover to the character, and they hate the look so much that they just SD. Ridley, the character that's too big for Smash, is a character that's probably also way too big for Smash, but may not make a lot of sense. This is part of the miscellaneous character category, and this one might blow your mind. Robot Hero is an item that could be unlockable through, I believe, Nook Miles, if I'm not mistaken. But the Robot Hero was a customizable character, as well as the Godzilla item. And I thought that maybe the final smash for the Robot Hero could be the Robot versus Monster final smash. This would be a remote-controlled robot that shoots lasers, and I thought there would be nothing like that in an Animal Crossing roster, quite like something like Ridley being too big for Smash. The Robot Hero would be the Ridley counterpart. Simon Belmont. Simon Belmont would, as you can see, a Dodo Airlines character. Let me pull up where that is. I just want to make sure I got it right. Okay, Wilbur. And then we might as well fill in Richter as well, since that's Simon's clone. Little butt. Wilbur and Orville appear as clone characters. They were introduced in the same game that on the same system that Smash Ultimate, and now new Horizons characters are available. So now we're going to start using some of those in the moves. So Simon and Richter's counterparts are Wilbur and Orville, and they'll use different, like, well, I would say Wilbur is more of a passive character, while Orville is more of an active character. Wilbur calls in airdrops, while Orville flies a miniature Dodo Airlines airplane replica. Both have a sharp paper airplane attack and share the same final smash, which will probably have to do something with the airplane as well. So that's those characters. King K. Rool, very strong, very interesting character. I picked Big Top the elephant. Big Top's been in it for a long time, but we don't have a lot of circus themed characters yet. Big Top will be a tanky character with circus themed moves. He will be able to inflate the inflatable elephant that is also unlocked via Nook Miles, and create a barrier or overinflate the elephant to pop it to send opponents flying back, similar to how it's a multi kind of succession move, similar to Villager's Tree. how like you plant it and that could do some damage, but then once you cut it down, it can do like a high amount of damage. This would be like a balloon pop, kind of overinflation, and it would pop, and then it would send players flying back with high knockback. The big top over K. Rool. Let's go back to a couple potential characters that we missed. Daisy would be a Rosie clone, and I picked Cherry. Now there's 2 cherries in the game. This would be the cherry that's a sisterly villager. I believe that's how you spell it. But there is another cherry that I believe is another animal, but this is a dog. This is a red dog cherry. This is who I'm referring to. So this would be a Rosie clone with sisterly sass. Attack with new flowers that spread spores like fire. Final Smash is Cherry's car that copies Gracie's Final Smash. So she'll basically be a amalgamation of clone characters, but Cherry will be a Rosie, just not so much a peppy version, but more of a sassy version, similar to how Peach is more of a peppy kind of character, but Daisy's more of a sassy character. Cherry will be the sassy counterpart of Rosie. Let's do some other clone characters here. Dark Samus. Now, Samus, as we already know, is Gulliver. Zero Suit Samus is Spacesuit Gulliver. However, we're gonna add one more Gulliver into the mix. Gullivar. As if we haven't gotten enough Gullivers in the game. So Gullivar will be in the game. And this will be more of like sword swashbuckling, and also use some of the moves and items that Pirate Gulliver would give you. Somewhat like a sailor's wheel or a barrel that he can roll, like things like that. So very different, but very similar at the same time to Gulliver, because they're both pirates, but this one's more of a seafarer, where this one's more piratey moves or swashbuckling sort of thing. Lucina, we already filled in. Who did we make Lucina? Lottie. Chrom, that's a new one that we haven't seen yet. Chrom will be another Fire Emblem rep, which means they are a fossil, a bug, or a museum character. And that will be Flick. Flick is the young, angsty teen in New Horizons, and he will use some of his bug friends to attack. He is basically a Nat clone with better speed, and he attacks at a distance, focusing on big bug collection rather than using them as weapons. And his final smash will be the Tarantula Island. We all know about that Tarantula Island. Dark Pit was Franklin. And then Ken, we still have to figure this one out. I have not decided this one yet, so we get to decide this here live together. Isabelle, we've already seen Isabelle on the roster, so we're going to give this roster slot for Isabelle to her brother, Digby. We love Digby so much. I wish we saw more of him in New Horizons, but unfortunately we did not. All right. I'm just trying to pull up the description. Okay. Isabelle clone, who has greater defense but less power. Uses crafting to erect crafted items on the stage instead of public works projects. And he uses them as obstacles or traps, and his final smash is the model home final smash. All right. Incineroar. So he's just basically like another amalgamation of clone character, sort of clone of Isabelle sort of thing. Incineroar. Where is Incineroar? Okay, this one's fun. Audie. Audie became a very popular character in New Horizons. In fact, Audie is on the probably still on the top like 10 to 20 list of favorite villagers to this day. And Audie was actually rumored to be molded after a granny who played Animal Crossing, posted the video on social media, got so much recognition, and we believe that Nintendo made this character because of that older lady whose name was Audie. She harnesses sunlight to power up her moves. Sunlight can damage her when her glasses are not on, so she has to keep her sunglasses on, or if she gets hit, they may fall off and she has to pick them back up. And her dream vacation is going to be her final smash. All right, joke character, Piranha Plants. Nobody wanted him in, just like nobody probably wants this character in whatsoever, but we got to give Mr. Rossetti, his brother Don Rossetti, in the game as well. He'll play very similar to Rossetti, who hasn't gotten a clone character ever up until this point, but his emphasis will be on being a prank character. He will use a pickaxe, but he will forget the axe, completely part of it, and it's literally just a stick. He can take out banana peels, plant tricky pitfall seeds that can bury you in your own traps if you're not careful, and his reset escape final smash will be borrowed from Mr. Rossetti. Joker. Joker, it has almost like a school-like, boy-like kind of costume going on. And Joker was revealed at the Game Awards. Very excited to reveal this character. And Raymond, if he was the character that was revealed for an Animal Crossing Smash roster at the Game Awards, people would have still just gone as nuts as they went over Joker, because Raymond was the crazy, controversial #1 villager for a lot of people a lot of the time during the New Horizons craze during the 2020 and 2021. People would go crazy over Raymond. So he is our Joker equivalent, and I feel like if he was revealed at the Game Awards, people would have went just as crazy in Animal Smash. All right, Hero. This is a character that is split up into different, characters as well. And I thought a cool character to do for this one would be the OK Motors crew. Now, this crew only appeared in Pocket Camp, but we're going to include Pocket Camp since it was already out at this time. So the OK Motors crew is 3 pigeons characters, and they were working on like the different car and like vans that you could unlock in that game. So they would kind of work similar to Hero, how the different costumes that you pick gives them a different aesthetic, but they have some different color variations within that. And so all 3 of the crew are here and each have a slightly different mechanic. What is that mechanic? I don't know. I don't really care about these guys too much, but they're in here. Banjo and Kazooie, another kind of almost like a duo puppet kind of character. And I've chosen Wardell and Nico to be this character. So you got a bigger character mixed with a smaller character on their back. And Wardell, the manatee, and Nico, the little monkey, they were very prominently featured within the Happy Home Paradise DLC on New Horizons. And so I'd like them to be the Banjo and Kazooie equivalent. So Wardell is the tank that doesn't really do that much, while Nico is doing all the work. Nico surrounds Wardell with flurries of attacks based off of his DIY projects like walls and counters. Wardell slowly heals Nico in the process, so it's like a symbiotic kind of character. And then in the final smash, Wardell beefs up and unleashes the killer wave. So that could be a really fun duo character there, similar to how Banjo and Kazooie are super fun, that Nico kind of does all the work and Wardell just kind of stands there, but then for the final smash, he beefs up and does a crazy wave attack to punish your foes. Terry is Zipper T Bunny. Now, Zipper had been out for quite a while, but nobody really liked him as a character, and people really did not like him in New Horizons, but he got a lot of notoriety, and so I thought it'd be cool that if Zipper T Bunny could have eggs in his moveset, that he could be used as projectiles. And each color variation has different functions, like yellow is a bouncy egg, pink is fiery eggs, or blue are water-based attack eggs. So he could kind of juggle his eggs as he's walking around, and depending on the timing of you throwing the egg, they can have different effects. So that could be really cool. And Byleth, another Fire Emblem rep. CJ, we're bringing in Flick's counterpart here in Byleth, and CJ would be a chip clone. CJ uses his cell phone to blind opponents while using his vast knowledge of fish and deep sea creatures to precisely attack his opponents. His fishing pole is given to him as a recovery, and he can snag opponents on the stage, similar to Isabelle. Now, Min Min will be Leaf. Min Min has a lot of long-range attacks that she can kind of attack people from afar, and I thought Leaf could use some vines that were introduced in New Horizons, as well as a lot of his plants and bushes to attack at a longer range, while also being able to do some close-range attacks as well. So Leaf will focus on longer-range attacks, and then Ken, we still got to figure that out, so we'll come back to that. Rover is our Steve equivalent. Rover will use terraforming, similar to how Steve uses kind of terraforming, if you will, with his blocks on the stage. Rover will use a flurry of new terraforming objects, and his final smash will be the maze. The Mayday maze, essentially. He will be able to terraform the stage or create water traps, grow bushes with thorns on the stage, and terraform the stage as you please. So he'll be a broken character, similar to how Steve is kind of unliked and very broken. Sephiroth. This is going to be a fun one. Where are we? You might hate me for this, but Anka. Anka was very controversial, almost an evil character, if you think about it. But Anka will use fossils and pyramids to attack foes, and will use snakes, similar to Lucas does use his snake, as a grappler. And her final smash will be sealing your opponent's fate with a King Tut mask for the final smash. And in Animal Crossing, the King Tut mask was a very mysterious mask. And if you wore that mask, you would have bad luck and you would start to trip as you wore it. And so I thought for a final smash, it'd be a funny callback to the King Tut mask and using ancient Egypt as part of her attacks. So Anka is making her performance in this. Take of that what you will. Pyra and Mithra are a duo character similar to how Zelda and Sheik were, and I thought, what would be a good duo that would be left in the game? And I've picked Chrissy and Francine. Now, these were the two bunny characters that are featured on Bubblegum KK's, like, I believe they're on the main album. And they're very popular. They were even in some of DJ KK's live performances. And they're commonly kind of, I don't know, alongside the song Bubblegum KK. And we know how popular that song is. So I thought Chrissy and Francine would be two very cool characters to add in. They are pop star wannabes. They have heart-shaped attacks and town tune-based moves. And a bubblegum pop move, similar to how popping big tops, you know, big elephant inflatable will send people with a high knockback. They will have a bubblegum pop move. And their final smash is a bubblegum KK concert. Finally, coming to the last couple, Pascal will be Kazio's counterpart. Pascal will use scallops to slash opponents and ride the waves to a better day, man. Interrupting Pascal's thoughts will trigger a counter. There will also be a 5-shell meter that needs to reload when one of the shells breaks. And then we have Sora, the final character before we finish this. And it will be DJ KK. DJ KK was very popular in this time. And we've had KK Slider in the game for a long time, but DJ KK is a very different character. He will rework the original KK Slider and include modern adaptation with speakers to blast away opponents. Finally, we gotta add in Wisp back into it, and this last character will be the last one that we have to figure out. And you'll just have to wait and see what character that is in our Smash roster that I'm going to make a full video on now that we've filled out this whole roster here together. So thank you guys for watching this live stream as I'm filling in all the Animal Smash characters. If you liked it, make sure you subscribe, give the video a like, and we'll see you in the full video, which will not be this long, I promise. It will be a fully condensed, fun, well put together video on the topic. All right, thanks for watching here on the MFC. We'll see you next time. Take care.